What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 5 of the APO podcast, the unofficial podcast of Alpha Phi Omega Zeta Omicron chapter. My name is Gregg Yasuda, and my special guest today is
yours truly, Austin Luan.
Austin, welcome. For the uninitiated, the APO podcast is a conversational podcast where we discuss recent chapter events and activities from the past week. The plan for the summer, since nothing really happens in the summer, was to kind of review the previous year, but I don't know. I haven't gotten a lot of information about the previous year, so we're going to move on to what we wanted to feature weekly anyway, was an alumni interview of some form from the chapter or not from the chapter, and as an interview or guest appearance. So this week we have Austin Luan. He's from the I'm going to go over some of your background and stop me if I make some mistakes, even though
yeah, no worries. Go ahead.
He's from the Alpha Kappa pledge class. That was fall 2008. The namesake of that class was Wilfred M. Krenek. And I was actually asking you about this, and you couldn't remember it.
Yeah, no, you asked me, some basic information, and the first thing that came up was namesake, and I was like, my God, I did not pay attention when I was pledging, because I definitely don't remember the namesake. But
it was a different time.
Yeah, it was definitely a different time back then. I could explain that later on.
Anyways, the Wilfred M. Krenek, that does sound familiar from talking to anyone from your pledge class. The number of people in your pledge class, 15. Nice, solid round number. But,
yeah, good group of guys and girls.
Yep. Your pledge head was Brie O'Keefe. Brie O'Keefe ended up being namesake for some other pledge class. I can't remember which one, though. I want to say it was Alpha Omicron or something or other.
A recent one, right? Like a couple years maybe?
It was like during our junior or senior year, because I remember being on board when it happened.
Okay.
Anyway, some of your credentials from your time with Zeta Omicron, you were pledge class president, which has become somewhat of a joke, actually. I'm sorry.
Dude. Yeah. No, I'm a big jokester. I think most people realize after a while.
I've totally asked you this before, but how did you get elected as pledge class president?
I don't know. I think at the time when I was pledging, I think it was just me and Yumi. I don't know if people remember her, but it was me and her like running for that position. And I remember back then, before he was president, Tyler Smith, he was my roommate, and he was like saying, "You should just try it, just see what happens, just give it a shot." And I remember the day when we did elections, it took a long time. It wasn't a good dead heat, and I'm actually flattered that some of my pledge class members voted for me, but at the same time, yes, it is a running joke. It was probably the biggest joke that was over my head throughout the years I was at APO.
I mean, it's like with any election. It's like there's the people who say that, yeah, I want to try and do it, and then there's the people who like probably should do it, but they don't have like the balls, I guess, to do it.
Yeah. I think I was neither of both. But yeah, it was a great time. But like I said, I think that definitely was an interesting time for me because it's something I just was fresh into college and just right then and there pledge class president.
Yeah, that's just like Tyler to kind of push you to be the best
person
you could be. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it speaks volumes for him. He's one of the good presidents I knew back then. And I think that was kind of a little get my feet wet for what was to come later on when I actually got on to board my last year with APO.
Yep. Your other credential, which is a big one actually, is your membership vice president, the position that most people consider second in command of the exec board. And that was during 2013, 2014, something like that.
Yeah, man, I'm old, Greg. Yeah, a couple years ago.
Well, at least people know you as membership vice president, not the guy who was just hanging around for 2 years.
Yeah. No, that was a great time too. I really appreciate that year as being MVP. It was great working with that exec board. I think I could probably name most of them. Julie was president. I think fellowship was Maggie Blackburn and Violetta Robles. Who else? Secretary, I think was it wasn't Regina. Regina was historian.
Was it JP?
No, that was the year after.
Yeah.
I forgot. It was a great group. Matt Weege was treasurer.
Yeah.
for the bylaws was yeah, I got her name now.
I mean, Sergeant at Arms.
Sergeant at Arms. Yes, she did a great job too. I forgot. I'm gonna feel so bad if they hear this podcast.
Is it Victoria?
It's Victoria. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
She was awesome. She was great. She was by the book.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Secretary, I'm blanking out right now. Melanie was secretary. Yes, it was. I totally forgot about that.
It was Melanie. Yeah, it was. Okay, I remember that. I guess I'm gonna skip one of the questions, but like, I guess what was like your fond memory of being VP of membership?
I think it was just working with a good group of people to help the chapter in any way. Trying to move us forward, continue, throughout the year to be on a very positive note. I think my fondest one was definitely the winter retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Kelly Chung and I, we planned that retreat. And I think it was the first time that's happened in the last couple of years. Because the last time that happened was when Brittany Horry was, MVP back then. And I helped her out with that winter retreat. I don't know if you remember that. Me and you were there, and like 20 other members were there. Probably like 2009, I want to say.
What I remember from that was you like inhaled a whole tangerine after brushing your teeth.
Oh, dude.
That's what I remember from that.
Yeah, I remember that part. I definitely remember that.
Because like they were like asking who wants to do this, and for my team, I was like, oh, I could do that. And then like we did it, and like Brittany said start, and then before I knew it, you already finished, and I was like, God damn.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was a tough one. That one hurt a lot because of the citrus and then the toothbrushing and the paste.
I will say though that my team still won. So
yeah, oh yeah. Who's keeping track anyways? It's been a couple of years. I don't even remember who won that.
I still have that picture that Brittany framed for us, and I'm like, I'm gonna hang this up forever.
Oh yeah, that was great. Didn't all the guys line up and 20 of us all in our swimsuits on the beach and did like the sorority pose or something like that?
Oh yeah, that was all. That was also when we were all in really really good shape though. So.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you can say that, but no, yeah, that was the last time they did the winter retreat, and so when I planned it. It was a great time. We had like a scavenger hunt. We had members cooking together, bringing a potluck dinner for the first night. And then, note to self, whenever I do a scavenger hunt, I'm never going to do the clues on my phone with a really old phone. It was horrendous. I remember everyone was running through Morro Bay and screaming at me, telling me to give them the next clue, and my phone was spazzing out. It was not a good idea. But I think all the members had a good time, and I had a great time just bonding. I think most of us stayed up pretty late playing games and just hanging out, and it was just a really fun moment. But we never got that house back. They thought we threw a party because there was a ton of trash in the recycling bin. So, but,
I don't doubt it. I mean, I bet they get a bunch of like people from the school, at least Cal Poly, renting it out and doing a bunch of stuff. But yeah.
And it was fun. That was probably one of my more fond memories. I think when I introduced Blind Date, the APO, I think that was fun too. It was interesting to pull people's names from a jar and then just kind of have them hang out. I don't know. Do you remember that? Were you around when I was doing that?
I do remember because I would show up to meetings periodically just because I was in the area and because I had a class really close.
That's right.
Just as a disclaimer, it wasn't the first retreat in a long time, but it did seem like, in my opinion, the first big legitimate retreat of bonding and all that other crap.
Oh yeah, dude, it took so much effort. For any MVPs in the future that want to do a retreat like that, man, I planned like maybe 3 months in advance to try to pick a place, and like I said, Kelly did a great job in trying to secure the area, the location, like small logistics, like what are we going to eat, what's our budget, things like that. But it was really fun. It was a great moment. And I know a lot of the members back then wanted to retreat because, like you said, I think the only time people did retreat was camping for when you were pledging. Yes. And then after that, for the active body, it wasn't really much. So to have a big retreat come up in winter, it was great. And, I really appreciate the chapter for committing so quickly. I know a lot of them are like, I don't know about this. But, when you have people that are willing to do things like, hey, everything went so much smoother. And there were no complaints about the dinner. I think it was just pasta, salad, and some garlic bread. So it was a great time. I had a really great time. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other moments besides that. I mean, the year goes by quick, so.
If you want to see pictures from that retreat, you can go to apo-zo.webs.com, and you can find a bunch of pictures from, I want to say, fall 2009, fall 2008 or 9 or whatever, pledge class, and before that. A bunch of other pictures from back in the day. I think most of those moved over to the new website, afiozo.org. But yeah, anyways. You actually were not on exec board until like your final year of college.
Yes,
And
correct.
how did that feel coming back after kind of being active most of that time, but not kind of seeing it from the outside?
To be honest, I was nervous. I think at that time when I was running, I was going against Wilson Shea.
Hmm.
He was a beast. I think he just finished being pledge dad, and he was very active and very, he was a very important member of the fraternity back then. And so for me to just, come out of nowhere in the fall and run against him, I was nervous. But I actually was going to say that was probably another fun moment of mine, just to, stand in front and then, give my speech and, just to be elected. I thought I was honored. And hopefully that year when I was VP, people were happy with what I was doing and how things were being run. And I would say Wilson would have been a great VP too, and he was a very tough person to run against. I don't know. Were you there at the speech? I thought you were. Like, I'm trying to think of that.
I went there to watch because I wanted to know, because for those who don't remember, I think this was the year that like Edwin was supposed to be president, and due to personal reasons he had to step down, and they had to fill in president with Julie ended up getting elected, who ran against, I want to say, Alex Wilk and someone else. And I apologize for not remembering that, but then because of that, somebody had to run for membership VP, and I remember actually a bunch of people were getting asked to run for president at the time, and at one point I think it was me and Patrick or something like that. But
yeah. No, I remember that. Like, I don't know how I got put up. I think it was Melanie. I want to say Melanie was the one that nominated me. That's my guess.
Somebody stepped up and recognized how much experience you had and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to say it that way. I mean, I was a decent member back then. I was still around, but for me, to step up that much, I was nervous. Like, straight up, I was worried that people would question, whether or not he had the right heart to run for VP. And also, like I said, the pledge class president, that story was still over my head.
Yeah, Wilson had a lot of momentum going into that, and I don't think people give you enough credit for how good of an active you were. Because I mean, after I finished my undergrad, I don't think I was active at all. And even like, when you were finished, you were doing 4+1, so it's a little bit different. But you were doing most of it, like your master's work that last year. So
yeah, no, it was stressful. It was tough. But like I said, like all that stress and that work, it was worth it. It was just great. It was a great feeling just to be there and just to really help grow AFIO at that time. And yeah, the thesis and everything else. I mean, it just kept me busy. It just kept me occupied. It kept me willing to come out on Tuesday nights for my committee meetings and going to the meetings and stuff like that. The biggest thing that people, I guess, don't appreciate about the MVP position is always having the same can of paste sauce, salsa, and the same can of spam you have to bring to every meeting. Those two things are like the worst things to forget. For any meeting on a Wednesday night. I think I had to buy a new can of spam because the one that they had was really gross. It was like 4 years old.
Hey, I mean, that stuff's supposed to last forever, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so. Until I think they couldn't find it or something, but
it did get lost in translation at one point, so, or transition.
Yeah. And also the what's the final thoughts box?
Yeah, they had to make a new one.
Yeah, they did. Because the one I got was pretty messed up. But I remember when I was going through all that. I think Janet helped out a lot because she was the previous MVP, Janet too. For those that do know her and I've heard of her. And like I said, that exec committee was great. It was awesome. So when I think of it, it was a great year, and like I said, it kept me busy. So
do you think any part of APO has helped you, like after college, like in the real world, as it were.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. I think when you work with a bunch of, especially when you're going through college, to deal with a bunch of different personalities and different people, it really helps you open up. And now when I'm at work, I'm an engineer. I work with a lot of other engineers as well, some old, some young, and they're all different. And the things I learned from AFIO, how to interact, how to present yourself in a certain manner and whatnot, it definitely helped. And then I think once you start to graduate, not a lot of people give much recognition for being an APO, but the things that you learn, being friends and being selfless, being giving back to the community. I think those are very important, because besides working, I also coach basketball. I love basketball, by the way. I coach girls basketball, and that's a completely voluntary position. And I think all those attributes of that position and everything that I've done the last couple of years since I graduated, all came from APO. It might be interesting, the things that you learn as a pledge, doing all the different, listings and whatever. I forgot. I don't even remember if I have my pledge book anymore, but those things stick to you after a while. Even if you don't. Yeah.
I want to say mine's in a box somewhere, but
yeah, dude, I don't know where mine is. Mine could be like at the bottom of the ocean. I have no idea where that thing went. Like
I remember my pledge class had like the trading card things or whatever, and I remember I remember looking through it recently, and I flipped through and I found Eric's, the one that I made for Eric, and and you had to either draw him or like put a picture of what you remember from that interview. So I had like a switchblade on the back of it, and I was thinking, what the fuck does that mean?
That's just because he's gonna cut you one day, man. He's
yeah, I think, and then I think that's what it was, and that's what I remembered from that interview. He's like,
that's the thing about APO too. Outside of work, is that the friendships and connections you made during college, of old and new, they're still there when you graduate. I've had a lot of past APO members or even current ones that just graduate talk to me, and it's all about connections. It's really all about connections, and APO gives you a great opportunity to do that. And I actually really, I'm jealous of that, because now when you start working, it's a little tougher to make connections. It's a little different atmosphere and environment. But I think once you graduate, you'll always know that the people that you become, that from APO will always be there, regardless of what kind of friendship you might have. You always say hi. And, I'm open to always meeting new members and helping out old ones too. Like it's really a great, network. I think that's the biggest thing.
Oh, definitely. I've been going to the Folsom Street Foundry with Nate Fuentes.
Ooh, Nate. Yeah, Nate.
Like every other Thursday or so. He goes every Thursday because they do Smash tournaments every Thursday, so he's like competing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But we ran into his coworker there, and we found out that his coworker was actually part of UC Berkeley's AFIO chapter. And,
and that's the thing too. Like it's another talking point with other people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's something that you guys can talk about, different chapters and whatnot. And that's the one thing I regret, is not going to more IC events. I'm a homebody. Like I loved slow, and I just never left slow. Well, maybe because I was more lazy, but yeah, I should have gone to more IC events.
I mean, there's always nationals. You could always go.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That'd be interesting. If there was a nationals in some really cool city, we should probably think about going. That'd be interesting.
They did what, LA one year, and then I forgot Chicago another year. Like it was some pretty intense stuff, and I think some members back then went.
It was it was in Atlanta one year, and then I know Nelson Lau went to Boston, stuff like that. So
yeah, that's right. No, those if any member right now ever gets a chance to go to something like that, I would totally do it. That's another thing I regret not doing, is more IC events.
And it's our obligation as a chapter to send at least a couple representatives. So the chapter is supposed to help fund that.
That's right.
So if no one's going, you should go, because the chapter will help you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to what is this called? A section of the APO Zeta podcast that I like to call Fireside Chat. I have a regular kind of series of questions that I've been asking everyone so far, and it's kind of stolen from the Inside the Actor Studio, which they used to do. I don't know if they still do it, but anyways, you added a question on here, which I thought was really interesting, so I'm going to keep it.
Okay.
who's the best basketball player in AFIO, Zeta Omicron, or maybe just anyone that you know, past, present, or future? And I don't know about future because that's kind of like predicting the future.
Yeah, no, future. I just put it out there because I was like, anyone recently, I don't know, last couple of years that played really well. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting question because there are actually a lot of ballers in APO. You know.
There have been recently not. There was a section where there weren't, and they're in. But I heard the. All right, let's just go through the list. From the past, I put some people down. I put yourself. I
Thank
put
you.
Kyle Leong down. And just from memory, I put Audrey Nakamura Oda because
Yes.
she got married recently.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Kyle was a beast. I think we did co-ed IMs with him one time. Well, not one time, but multiple times. And I think one game we were losing by a lot, but he scored like 35, 36 points. Like he was just on fire. He's a big guy, you know. His demeanor might make you think he's a nice guy, but he's pretty mean on the court. Like he can score, he can shoot. That's the first name that came up in my mind in terms of pass. Way past my time was like, I don't know. My big back then was good. Brian Flynn. Oh, great shooter.
Brian.
Yeah, he looked like Charlie Brown, but with a mustache.
I guess.
Well, an aged Charlie Brown, but you know he had a quiet demeanor too, but he had a deadly shot.
Wasn't he living in a tent behind somebody's house, like
Yes,
his last year or something?
Yes. No, he was great. You know, him and Maichi, like they were both really good dates.
Yeah.
And you know, like he played basketball a lot, and Maichi was great older sister to me too. And you know, I haven't talked to them in a while, but you know, I hope they're both doing well. And yeah, Brian was really good back then. They had a good group of basketball players back then too. Like way past my time. Like I can go on and on about them, but in terms of when I was at the chapter, Audrey was good. She barely played because I think she had an injury. I think a knee injury back then. Shannon Nishimura, she was gnarly. I remember. Do you remember when me and you and Eric Iwazumi started doing like sports days?
Yeah.
Back then, and like it was like every Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, we'd all like play basketball or maybe play football. And I think we were playing football, and like all the numbers came out. That's the time when Maddox Fee broke his collarbone.
Off ball.
Yeah,
I will say that was off ball. He was not part of the play, and it happened off ball.
I think you did it too, right? Am I right?
Hey! You need to cut that shit out because that was the thing. And it, actually, I'm gonna say it might have been me, but like it was a play up the middle. So I guess he tried to block, and I guess he was on me. So I guess I went, I want to say through him instead of.
Jeez, my God, that I'm already like throwing up right now thinking that like Maddox is a kind of smaller frame guy, so like
yeah, exactly.
And then Gregg, you're kind of you're a big bully, so you might have just destroyed him. But
I was smaller at the time, but it was like college, so you're like at the gym a lot. You have a lot of time. and I was like at the dorms with Hugh and Nick and Thomas, so
yeah,
we were like at the gym like all the time. So I do recognize that it was a mismatch.
It's like you see this like big moving truck, and you're just about to run over this little cow. Like it was an interesting moment. I think he came up screaming like, "My collarbone, it hurts."
No, he was kind of like on the side, and I just remember him like rubbing his shoulder, and I want to say like either Jess or somebody else from my pledge house was there, and she was like looking over him, and I guess he was turning blue because he was panicking.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a gnarly moment. I think all of us were worried for him, but
yeah, he ended up being okay, but he ended up missing some school time, and he had to take his finals after the fact. And I felt really bad about it because everyone kept saying it was my fault, and I was like, God damn it.
It was always your fault, Gregg. No,
everything is my fault. I
recognize. But like at the time, Shannon was playing, and I think I made some comment about like the women that were there playing, and she like yelled at me and like called me out on the field. It was intense, but the reason why I bring that up is because she's a fierce basketball player too. Like she's really good for a girl. No offense. And I've actually played with her a couple times after college too, and she was really good back then. Guys back then when I was playing, I don't think there was a lot.
Nathan Huang, but that was more of his size and like his presence under the basket more
Yeah.
so than anything.
I mean, I might even put Eric Imazumi under that list because there wasn't a lot of ballers back then.
He's just
At
a
least
really good athlete. I mean,
yeah,
Eric's just like a natural athlete. He can not exercise or practice or be in shape to necessarily play, but he can just get out there and perform.
yeah,
So
no, yeah, I agree. And then when I came around, I think there was like a couple years where we did IMs, and there was a long list. It was like me, Ryan G, Carlo, what I think Nick Salazar was good too. That was when we won our championship. Ben Liu, Chris Nguyen. Like I still remember that championship year when we won. It was great. We went against double ACF, and that was an intense game. And,
was were you the person who turned it over with like a
yeah.
few seconds?
Oh, dude. I always remember that play. I think it was like a minute 30 left, and we were up by like 3, and like I was passing it to the right side, and the guy read the pass like nothing, and I was like, oh shit, I just turned the ball over, and I'm coming back, just trying to defend him, and then you see Kyle coming from behind trying to kind of give him a little spoof, and he missed the layup, and then back then that championship game, WACF had like 3 rows of people, and they all were just like gasping because he missed it. Like it was a point blank layup, and he just completely missed it. And like,
I was there at that game, and I dragged
yeah.
Jess with me. That was the last year that the chapter was willing to fund your team.
Yeah.
and I'm glad it was the last year, but I was there, and from someone watching, like the ball got turned over, and it's whatever at this point, but like he went up for the layup, and you could just feel all the air in the room get sucked out.
Yeah, dude. Oh.
They like rolled around the rim, and then it just dipped out, and then I think Kyle or somebody got the rebound, and they had to foul you guys, and you guys ended up winning, but that was legit.
Dude, that was some nail biting stuff, man. Like, oh god. But yeah, no, that was a great year. I'm trying to think of who else was on that team. Ben, did I say Ben?
You said
Like,
Ben.
yeah, there's a lot. There was like a couple other people too. But that was a great team. And then the years after that, we kept staying competitive and just added a couple years in there. But yeah, that was during my time. When I say future, I say it like after I graduated and people that were still there. And 2 names, well 3 come out in my mind is Jefferson. Jefferson was good. He was a tall, lanky guy. Good shooter. Rich, character. He was a hustler, man. They had a team back then too, going against this. I can even put Patrick de Guzman was actually not too bad. I'll give him a little shout out. He wasn't too bad back then too. Good little point guard. I mean, me and him, we love the Lakers, so I'll give him a little love. But and I think the one person that I thought I could pin all of APO's hoop streams on, and I don't know if you could guess who I'm going to say, but it's actually Oscar Ruiz. He's a beast. Like when I actually met him way before he did APO as I think he did the Summer Institute program, and I was there during the summer. And I played with that kid, and I was like, dude, you're good. You're decent. I mean, like for someone that's coming in, I was like, dude, you're pretty good. And then I remember I told him to join APO, and then he didn't fall quarter. And then somehow he magically appeared spring quarter, and I was like, I should have told you. I told you, man. Like you should have joined. And then he joined, and he got picked up by Eugene Huang. And they're a great big little pairing because they both love basketball. But I'd have to give the hat to Oscar for being a better basketball player. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I thought he was the future for APO basketball. If you guys ever did IMs or anything like that, because he was a monster. He was way better than I was. He was better than any of the players that I just named or anyone in the past. Like he could do a lot of things. And I haven't talked to that kid in a while, but whenever I went back, I've always played against him, and hopefully he's still balling and he's still thinking about coming back to APO and making another team and bring back another T-shirt because it's been like 2 years since you lost on that IM, I think.
I'm not sure if they won any in the meantime, but I'm sure we would have heard about it. Assuming. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of something that I wish APO intramurals was bigger.
Yeah,
and when I was serving as fellowship VP with Ivy, I was I put in charge of IMs, and I was kept trying to push it, and like you guys were really the only team that was doing sports consistently, so I was willing to fund it, even though half of the team really wasn't active.
Yeah.
They were APO members, and that was what I kept pushing to Tyler, was they are APO members, they're just not active. So
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. That was great. Like, I think that was a start of like something really good for the next couple of years. Like, people coming out and playing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other names that I don't want to forget to name. Like Alexis Lee was probably one of the better girl ballers back then, too. Jessica Tang, Jay Tang.
yeah, she came out to like after the fact, like when I guess like after you graduated, like she was trying to put teams together, and it was tough getting girls out to play, because she ended up having to play the whole game, and it's difficult doing that.
Oh yeah, and she's a great player. She's a monster. She can, for a girl like that, like she's tough, and so like I said, there's a ton of people that play. I mean, once we started having that culture, like you said, it was just easy to kind of just get people together, and hopefully, like in the future, APO does it more often, because I think it's a great time. It's a great thing to do outside of the chapter, to just something athletic and sports related, because everyone loves sports to some degree.
I mean, not even doing intramurals. I mean, something less competitive, and I think that's what scares a lot of people away, is that it is somewhat competitive. So like if you do something outside, like even at the beginning of the year barbecues or picnics, just doing flag football or whatever. So
yeah, if people come out, like great time to just hang out and and just have a good time. So yeah, dude, we went through a long list of basketball players in APO. Like, you'd be surprised. We can definitely ball it up against anyone really. Like, good group of players, I would say.
What would be really cool is like if they during alumni weekend, if they want to do like alumni basketball.
Dude, I would totally come back.
Exactly. So like, I mean, we listed off a bunch of people, so we could get that rolling. So
yeah, no, I think maybe all of them would come back.
Yeah.
Like that would be great. I think it'd be an honor to come back and play. And alumni weekend back then was like, it was all right. I think not a lot of people came out, and I think something like a basketball game or some charity basketball game, I think people would come out. I think people would look into it.
I've said it before on this show, and I've said it to people, members of the chapter, and people who have historians who have tried to plan alumni weekends with parents or whatever. Alumni weekend is the hardest event to plan in AFIO on exec board.
Hands down.
Because you're not only dealing with finding a date in spring, which is hard enough in itself, but you're also dealing with parents, alumni who have their own jobs and careers and vacations that they want to plan in spring. So it's very, very difficult. And I want to say, like, the earlier you get that date down, the easier it will be to get alumni out.
Oh yeah, so. And the earlier, the higher turnout you might have.
Exactly.
I think that was the tough part, was just the turnout. People willing to come out and really, give back to the chapter. But I mean, I don't blame people for that. And like I said, it's a potentially one of those under the radar kind of events that could really be, a standing point for APO.
Yeah. I mean, like, even if you want to do like flag football or ultimate frisbee, or I don't know. I think you could get some people out for just the casual basketball alumni game or something, which would be cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. I'd be the first one to sign up. I'll put it on, like, I'll put it out there. I'll be the first one there, like, for sure.
Anyways, so I hope intramurals are going well with the current chapter, but let's move on to, the regular segment of Fireside Chat. I'm just going to roll through some questions, and you answer as genuinely as you can. And
is it uncensored, or is it like...
You can say whatever you want, and I'm going to censor out anything that's going to ruin your career in some form, because this is going on the internet and anyone can see it.
That is true. Okay, all right.
What is your favorite word?
God, man, the word on this sheet right here doesn't make me feel comfortable to say that, but hey, I said this word a lot.
Hey, Nate said it already, and Patrick said it already.
Really?
So, well, yeah, I mean, you don't have to go listen to the shows if you don't want to, but yeah, they already said it, and I was thinking, like, I already released both of them uncensored, and I was like, this is on the internet. Anyone could find this. I already censored it out, but and even saying it, I'm not sure if you want to say it, but
Yeah, no, I used to say that a lot, maybe like when I was in a third year or something. I don't know why. It was weird. It just came out. I think it was like hanging out with people from like Vallejo, Gregg, or
I don't say that often.
I'm just joking.
Hey, Thomas says that way more than I do, and he's from San Francisco.
Yeah, Thomas. You know, I don't know. That word is interesting. I'm for anyone that wants to know what the word is. You know,
it's the N word.
Yeah, the N word. But that was, I don't say that now, like because it's not professional. But
it's not safe for work.
Yeah, it's not safe for work. My favorite word. I don't know.
Hey, I'm gonna do a sneak peek of a future question. What's your favorite curse word? So you can save it for later if you want to.
Yeah, okay, I'll save it for later. Maybe. Yeah, okay, maybe I'll save it for later. But yeah, well, let's move on to the next question. Favorite word. I'm still kind of thinking what it could be.
We'll come back to it. What's your least favorite word?
Least favorite word. Mandatory. I hated that word, especially when I was active, like mandatory. How do you make it mandatory? You know,
you mean I'm gonna say, for example, I know what you mean. I'm with you on mandatory in terms of the chapter, like mandatory rush events.
Yeah. Oh God, it's the least favorite word, hands down. When you see like the listings of whatever requirements you got to do, and you start to see the list of mandatory, you just go, oh God, like I have to be there. Well, do I really have to be there? You know, like
it really shouldn't be that way. But I mean, otherwise, no one would go to Rush. And I'm always with the argument that I'm bad at Rush. and just as like someone who doesn't like being handed things,
yeah,
that was really where I came from on that. So I am totally with you there.
Yeah, no, dude, the Rush part, man, like. I definitely had no balls to go up to anyone else when they joined APO. Unless you were Asian, which sadly was really the reason. Like, it was just tough. Like, I hated Rush. I think Rush was more for me just to hang out with the actors that were there and just kill the hours.
Hanging out the booth was cool, but I mean, I'm gonna admit this, but a lot of times, like, I would find people like in my major, people I knew outside of AFIO, and go up to them and just talk to them, and they're like, what's up? I was like, I'm just talking to you, so it looks like I'm trying to recruit you, so just talk to me for like 5 minutes.
Can you act like you're interested, but really you're not, and just give me this little moment of time to talk to you about my interests?
And I'm sorry that had to happen, but I was not the person to recruit it, because I mean, if you look at it like from like just taking a step back, you're trying to sell something to somebody.
Yeah,
and I'm not like a salesperson or anything, so selling AFIO is, oh God, that was rough.
Man, and to be honest, like for me, from my perspective, I thought AFIO grew a lot through word of mouth from friend to friend or something like that. It really just turned into something like that throughout my years when I was there. But people did have a good rate in convincing people, like pitching AFIO, and I'm sure some members now probably joined back then because of Rush, you know.
Yeah, I think Rush committee's gotten really good. I think they've gotten the right message out there, and I think recruiting's gotten better. And I'm sure there's still people out there who hate rushing, and I'm with you. But you gotta do it, and I'm sorry. It's one of those things you probably hate the most about it, but you're gonna benefit from being active just because.
Yeah, no, it's like a love-hate thing. I'll be honest, like, you know. But when you put the word mandatory, that's a different story. Then it's complete hate. It's just, God damn it, mandatory, you know. But that's probably my least favorite word, mandatory.
Sure. Yep. Next question. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally? You don't have to answer all three, just any of them.
Any of them? Dude, I can put all three for basketball. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure people are going to get tired of this, but I just truly love basketball. Like, besides the sport itself, you can learn a lot of things about it. And like I said earlier in this podcast, I'm a coach. I'm a girls basketball coach. And that turns me on creatively. Not you know what some of you might be thinking, but just to be able to work with, you know, younger kids and younger minds, and just to, you know,
It's like
coach
giving.
them.
It's like giving back, right?
Oh yeah, and like I said, this goes full circle back to what I said about APO. It doesn't have to be the service event or the organizations or associations that I used to join in college. It's just the basic principle of giving back and really just helping other people grow. And for this coaching opportunity, I graduated. I was like, I want to do something on the side, and then it was like, boom, let's be a assistant girls basketball coach, and then it slowly turned into head coach. And right now, I'm trying to prepare my girls to play in a tournament 2 weeks from now, and this will be probably the first time that I'm actually, the full head-on coach, head coach, like no holds barred or whatever. And I'm excited. It really is just a great opportunity just to work with, like I said, these kids and see how much basketball I know, see how many plays do I know, and being a coach is different. It's just like being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to pep talk to these girls, and I'll tell you right now, boys. If I coach boys, man, I could yell at them and rip them to different pieces, and they would play decently well. But with girls, oh man, you gotta. And I learned from it's different. You gotta be their coach. You also gotta be their best friend, because if you coach them too hard, I'm gonna spend a good time on the sideline, sitting next to them, wiping their tears. Like there's a fine line, but
I give you a lot of credit coaching girls, because I think it takes a certain level of I guess, delicacy to it.
Yes, yeah, that's the right word for it, like delicacy, But like I said, it all started from my love for basketball and the willingness to give back, and that's coaching is a big thing for me now. And even besides coaching girls, I have an adult team with my company, and I coach them too. I coach 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds. I take advice from them. It just kind of grows on each other. Like it just kind of builds on top, and like I said, those traits and that drive to do these things really just came through my participation in APO and just other things that I did when I was younger, and that's one thing. And I'm trying to think of what else. That's a really good question to ask for any alumni to do this podcast, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah.
So going off of that, what kind of turns you off then?
Flakiness. and I used to be a big flaker. I used to back out on certain things, and that was terrible back then.
Hey, man, it was a different time.
Yeah, it was, and you know what? You gotta learn from your mistakes, and now when I get people that are like that really bugs me. Not being prompt, I think that's a huge thing too. But naturally everything is late. Naturally APO runs on 10 minutes after the hour kind of meeting or whatever, and people are always behind and stuff like that. But being prompt, I think, is very punctual. That's the right word. Punctual. I think, very important.
I'm with you there. Actually, my boss is I guess my old boss. She went to Cal Poly, so like I was late to work like 9 minutes, and then like they were asking like why I was late or whatever. I was like, Cal Poly time. and then my old boss got it, and she backed me up on it. So I was like, all right, sweet. But I'm totally with you. I mean, being exec board for 2 years, I totally get being on time, and it came to a point where like I was planning, like let's say I was planning formal with Ivy, and we are trying to say like what time people should get to formal, and I was like, why don't we lie and just say get there like at 5:30?
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna get there at 6 anyways.
I completely agree with you. And I probably was guilty too of being late. I'm sorry, Greg. Back then,
I really didn't care if you were late. I was just gonna say, like, if you're not at the shuttle at this time, you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah. Being punctual. I think that's a very important thing.
I have a really good memory of like, I guess when I was pledging for open house. This is kind of about being punctual, but like they said be there at this time, and I remember getting to the booth, and you and Tyler were like sitting in the booth like just talking shit or kicking the shit in the booth, and I was like, what's up? And they're like, oh, no one's here yet. So I just like sat with you guys, and we just like talked about stuff for like half an hour.
I remember that. Like we were there super early.
Yeah, because Brittany said be there at like 7, and we were there at 7, and no one was there.
Yeah, and I gave her a ton of shit because I was like, what the heck? Like, it was 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning for this goddamn open house, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, the booth was back then was like a wooden stall, and like there was nothing there. I was like, what the heck?
By the way,
and,
they
like,
still use it.
Oh, they do? Oh, sorry. I mean, I love that booth. Just saying. But yeah, I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm so punctual, and she's not even there. And then even after setting up everything for open house, like, she made me go to Starbucks and get coffee. Like,
It was a different time, man.
It was fine, yeah. But yeah, if I can think of anything else that turns me off, I'll let you know. But those two for sure. Being punctual, and then what was the first one I said?
Being on time.
Oh, no. The other one. But yeah, those two.
It doesn't matter. Moving on. What's your favorite curse word? Can't wait for this one.
Fuck. Anything bad, I'll say that. If I miss, whatever. Something that happens that I didn't expect, I would say that. That's
dropping F-bombs all over the place.
Yeah, dude, I used to drop it a lot back then too, and then like people were like, "Why are you saying this so much? Like, you should cut back a little bit." But that's my favorite swear word, I think. I mean, I think it used to be shit, but I think fuck took the shit out of the shit. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, fuck for sure.
Sure, I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think that covers everything. What sound or noise do you love?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think like what? Oh, the swish of the basket, like the basketball. It's very key to me. When I hear that, I like jump up and stuff. So that one's pretty good. And I think just the voices of people that I care about, like friends and yeah, like just to be around that sound and noise, I think it's really great. Like with a lot of people, I enjoy that a lot. I'm not too claustrophobic. Is that the right word?
I think so. I mean, okay. you just had like your birthday event or whatever on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
So like kind of being around people, hearing people having a good time, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of just getting people together and just hanging out. So that's a noise that I like. Just constant conversation going on everywhere, And that was the great noise I had every meeting too when we had general meetings. Like just the noise and the murmurs and the mumblings before the actual general meeting was about to start. So that noise was great. That noise made me feel alive. It was like great. I'm around people that I really enjoy. So
sure. What noise or sound do you hate?
The screeching of a chalkboard. I hate that one.
Really? That's like super cliche, but I totally get it.
That one. Any like screechy, scratchy noise. It doesn't have to be the chalkboard. It can be anything. Like it just bugs me.
You were mentioning like the noise and I guess like the background noise of meetings and being there and being around people that you like part of the chapter or whatever. But the noise that I hate when I was on exec board was like the dead noise, like when you like an announcement or something. And this is really common with like IC events. I don't know so much anymore, but like I'd say like Lambda Muse having blank event on this date, you guys should go. Silent. Exactly. That dead noise is just like will kill any momentum you had during your meetings. And actually on the note of your basketball IM championship, same thing. I was like, so they're like, what's the Tyler would be like, what's the update on IMs from the past week? I was like, the APO Zeta team won the championship. Silence.
Are you serious? Come on.
Yeah, it was like because like no one like I mean like people knew who it was and they knew you were on the team. They knew, I mean they kind of knew who Kyle was on the team. I mean no one knew who Nick was because Nick really wasn't active since like we pledged my pledge class or whatever. But it was difficult. I mean the person most people knew on that team was Ben, I guess.
Yeah, no, Ben was the friendly guy on that team. I think if people remember. Or Chris. I forgot Riley, too. Riley, long member back then, too.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that guy was a good baller, too. But anyways, yeah, no. joke during my presentation for what's it called? For my nomination speech. Like I made a joke about like, oh, I'm gonna make Final Thoughts funnier or something. I said something really, you know, it's not serious, but kind of a joke man I thought was funny. And I look up and I say it in front of the nomination speech, and everyone just looks at me like dead up, like deer in headlights and dead silence. So I'm like, oh my god, that was not a good idea. And I kept continuing my speech. Like I know what you mean, like just like no response, really eerily quiet. Like ugh, that bugs me too.
Dead silence. That's like even like when you're making presentations or whatever. But
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of nerve wracking, you know. Like it's just ugh, like you know.
Yeah.
Please show some response or something.
So moving on. You're an electrical engineer.
Yes.
What profession other than what you're doing right now would you like to attempt?
A business analyst. I think.
Really?
Yeah. you know, like that's another aspect that I'm thinking about too. Is like being able to, because I'm a friendly guy. You know, I'm a very sociable, outgoing guy, and you know, doing business. I think maybe I needed to learn the savviness of it, but I think that was actually my first major when I did applications. I wanted to do business, and then my parents told me to change it to bio, and God forbid I was ever a bio major, but I wanted to do business when I first started. So that could have been one of the professions I would like to attempt other than what I'm doing now. And then another one that I told my parents really long time ago when I was younger, and they laughed at me because they thought, you know, this isn't going to work out. But I told them I wanted to be a sports writer. I wanted to be like a sportscaster on ESPN. You know, you sit there, you talk about sports and stuff like that.
That's actually something you could probably do now, but it'd probably be via YouTube or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, something to a lesser degree. And I remember I told that to Tyler Smith one time. He's like, "Hey, you should start your own blog about the playoffs or NBA."
I mean,
you know,
no, I mean, like what I've like heard from people is like the only thing stopping you is like yourself. I mean,
yeah.
There's no reason. You have a webcam, you have a microphone. There, you could just get up and just do it. And this is kind of going off of why I started this was because like Katie was asking me if I wanted to be involved in alumni stuff, and I was like, I could do like an alumni podcast and just interview alumni. And this is kind of how I did it. And I was just like, I just got people together, and I got Alex Wilk from time to time, and then I got Nate Fuentes from time to time, and we're just doing it. And it's impromptu. It's whenever you're available, and it's something you could do. And I encourage you to do that if you can, like to talk about sports if you want to on your spare time, because it is interesting talking about sports. Because like me and you, and like just me and other people, we've had conversations about sports, and it's a valid opinion that people might be willing to hear. So just put it out there.
I completely agree. And like going back on what you said, like when you first started doing these podcasts, I was like, Gregg, you gotta remember how kind it was to you, because you're about to be famous. Like these things are great. Like I really, like I was like, dude, you gotta put me on one of these, man. Like at least, you know, give me an opportunity to talk with you guys and hang out or whatnot. And you know, I really appreciate your work. I think you're doing a great job. I think you're doing a great thing to keep us alumni connected with, you know, the current APO, and just for them to know us, and maybe in the future for us to know them. So, but yeah, I think, you know, that's the one thing I want to do is like be a sports writer. Like this is my dream. I was dreaming I'd be, you know, in Staples Center. So sorry to all the Warriors fans in the Bay Area, because I'm from the Bay. You know, I was thinking I was gonna sit, you know, 2 rows from the front, you know, with my pen and paper, writing down notes and stuff like that. And then watching, you know, Kobe Bryant, you know, take the Lakers and make them win like the 7th championship in a row. I mean, this was like 2000. This was back then. This was a long time ago. But
in the glory days.
Yeah, in the glory days. Now, oh my God, don't even talk to me about it. But and then like post game, I'd be like in the locker room talking to all the players and just being homies with Kobe Bryant and, you know, just things like that. It was such a dream. But you know, that's something I would consider maybe. But yeah, no, I'll definitely take, you know, your advice to heart. Maybe consider doing a podcast alongside this one, but I don't want to take too much glory out of this one too.
You can't take any glory from this one, because there is very little glory to be had.
No, it'll come at some point. But,
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Is there anything you would never do, but under any circumstances, like professionally?
Professionally, Don't you mean like at work or just in general as a profession?
So let's say you weren't an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
What job would you never do under any circumstances?
No retail. I would never work at a retail store.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to work at like a burger joint or deal with just service. Like I don't know if I could deal with like long hours like that. I think that's so stressful. And I appreciate those that do it, but for me personally, I could never do that. What else? An athlete maybe? Like being an athlete is interesting. It's like kind of like hit or miss. Like either you're really good or you're just average and you're just trying to be good, or you're really bad. And like also the potential of getting injured and just messing things up for your livelihood afterwards. I think that kind of turns me off a little bit.
I mean, I've like seen like I mean, especially in like Major League Baseball, you have like minor league stuff, and there's people making livings doing minor league stuff, and it's interesting
tough.
for me to think about that.
Yeah, that is tough, to do that for a living because you're just kind of on the borderline between being good and not good. Like that's tough. What else? I don't know. I would be a terrible fitness trainer. I'd be a terrible one. The only reason I bring it up is because now I actually do go to the gym. Surprising you, Greg. For like the last month and a half, and I'm very proud of it because back then in college you were there too. I would only go for a week and then that was it.
You were very dedicated to your career though, so you were doing school stuff, or you were.
Or I was distracted when I first went into the rec center and saw the two nice basketball courts with the glass mirrors and said, "Screw lifting. I'm going to play some ball today."
I mean, that's its own form of exercise. So
yeah, but I'd be a terrible fitness trainer. I can go on. But for sure, any kind of job that requires you need to be like constantly working with like service and people. I mean, like retail or food restaurants. I think I'd have a tough time with that.
All right. Moving on to our last question and the biggest question, and where I think
this is the worst question. Who wrote this question?
This is straight from the Inside the Actor Studio, which is a segment that they used to do where like it's a school. I don't know the details. You can look it up, but there's a school for acting or whatever. But they would bring actors like Bradley Cooper back who went to the school. Mm-hmm. And they would interview them after the fact of like where their career is now and where they were in school. And this is just something that the host of the show would ask. So if heaven exists, whether you believe in heaven or not, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the Pearly Gates?
This is a tough one. I don't know. Maybe. Jeez. I'm trying to think of like what's realistic and then also what's not realistic. I guess realistically be like, have you? Is there anything that you haven't done yet that you regret not doing? That's an interesting question I would take at the gates.
Like if God was at the gates, like welcoming you, like, is there anything you wish you could have done? Kind of thing?
Yeah. And then maybe when I get into heaven, I could actually do it. That would be interesting. I don't know, maybe something funny would be like, would you want to, what kind of crowd would you want to be in, like, in terms of, like, who you hang out with in heaven? Like, you want to hang out with, like, the famous people, the famous athletes? I don't know. I don't know. What have people in the past said for this question?
You can go listen to Patrick and Nate's questions. It's towards the end of the podcast. It's probably the last 10 minutes.
Do they go on and on about it?
No, they don't. But, it's been something to the effect of like welcome or like it's okay, you're welcome here or something.
Like I've done enough good in the world.
I forgive you, something to that effect.
Yeah.
So
I mean that would be a response I would expect too. But I think the biggest question for me is like, what have you not done that you felt like you didn't have a chance to do? And I think that'd be interesting for me to kind of self-reflect, like. Right before you go to heaven, if I do believe heaven exists, just saying, just putting it out there.
It's not like a requirement or anything. It's just something he wants to know for the future or whatever the hell.
Yeah, for anyone coming through, I guess. That's a tough question, Greg. That is interesting. I want to hear what people say for that one. That'd be interesting to hear what people think.
Well, you're welcome to listen to the other interpretations, which is really just two people.
It's okay. We're gonna get 10 more people on this podcast. I'm gonna start advertising for you. You know, spending some time with Gregg Yasuda.
Something I asked like Patrick was like, I actually asked Nate this too, and Nate recommended Patrick for this. Patrick recommended no one. So, is there anyone you recommend for this? Like, if you want to like call somebody out,
like an alumni to do this?
Yeah, sure.
There's a long list.
I was thinking about this, and I kind of want to get Thomas on this.
Dude, yeah, no, that's the first guy that came into my mind, Thomas. I think he would give a lot of insight, and the way that he talks is also very interesting to listen to. Especially for a podcast.
And this is not only because me and Thomas are in the same pledge class, but I was also thinking Nick, because he's so far removed from it, it would it'd be such an interesting outside perspective because he was only active ostensibly for like 1 quarter. So
I think he would give a good insight. You know, he's a nice guy. He's a great guy to be around. But anyone else that I can think of? I think Maylin. You know, I haven't heard from that girl in so long. Well, I do once in a while, but
she got married.
She got married. Well, she's engaged. I don't know if she's married, but I hope I go to her wedding. I knew her like
correction. She got engaged. Yeah,
she got engaged. But she would be great. Maylin was great. I think she was pledge ed too, right? I mean, she did a lot of things too.
She was pledge ed with Sabrina. Yes.
Yes. So she would be good. Let me think. I'm gonna give out one more name and then I'll probably call it quits. Jason Robinson.
Ooh.
Jason Robinson, I think, is a good one too.
I gotta write that one down because I'm gonna forget.
He was a great person to talk to when I was pledging. You know, had a lot of interesting stories. Really nice personality, and I think a lot of things changed when he came into office, and I could tell. Yeah, I could tell that when I was pledging. So he would be a great one too. Let me think. I'll dig a little deeper and figure out one more good one that you could possibly enjoy. You know, Alan Agatep was a good one.
He was Namesake recently.
Yeah, no, I think he's a good one too. You know, the guy's a funny guy. You know, he when he was part of APO, he was very, very, proactive about it. Really loved APO back then, and I could sense that too. And he's a really nice guy to talk to. And I'm sure he would have a great time with you on this podcast too. Just to banter a little bit, talk, and things like that.
I was, way down the road. I mean, not even actually way down the road, but the former Region 10 director, Craig Tanner, I was thinking of trying to get on this just because I think he has a lot of knowledge there. And to my understanding, the current Region 10 director, who is Kim Yi, might be interesting to get on this.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, any I think any person's perspective on this would be great. Like those are pretty good names too. If I can think of anyone else, I'll let you know. I'll be like, hey Greg, I'll text you like, hey Greg, you should go talk to so and so and get him on this podcast. Cause
I mean, there's a long list of alumni we can get on this. So I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts or maybe advice for the chapter before we call it a day?
Or call it a night, if you want to say it that way. I don't know. Like it's weird for me because like being an alumni, you kind of just let things be. And what I mean by that is like, once when I was in college and I was part of APO, like, I thought my voice was, a very crucial part of the growth back then. And now, like as an alumni, like I don't really stay connected because I don't think it's in my place to do that because the chapter now is what the members want it to be. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the advice I would give them is like whatever you guys as active members want the chapter to become or turn into, or what it should mean to people past, present, and future, then do it. Because like I said, like I think the growth that you get when you're a part of it is just something that even people outside of it can't, dictate or predict. Um, and just always be open. I think that's the biggest thing too. Be open to meeting old friends, new friends, because everything in this world is all about connections. And like I said earlier in this podcast, APO is a great connection, great network for people to get to know people, and just keep that. Just always be open. Be willing to say hi. Don't be afraid. And make mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of terrible mistakes. I made some terrible bets. Even now, I do make some terrible bets, but the important thing is how you come back and how you learn and how you can be better for the next one and whatnot. But like I said, when I was an active member or even as MVP, there were a lot of things that happened or didn't happen the way I wanted to happen, and even besides that, I kept moving on, and I think that's the best way that we learn is just from our mistakes. So I think those are some pretty good points. I think that I want to say before we end this little podcast.
Going off of that, I think the big thing I learned from, I guess, just working is that at Cal Poly we're all told and I guess like ingrained that it's learned by doing, but what I found is it's all about learning by making mistakes, because that is really how you learn. So
that's how you pick up things too. Because then the next time you go about it, you know better, or you know a better way to do it. So I completely agree, and that speaks volume for Cal Poly. Like, Cal Poly is great. I'll go into a little side story, because when I first joined Cal Poly, which is about maybe 2008, not a lot of people cared about it from my hometown, which is weird. I think I had like 5 kids that joined Cal Poly from my high school, and back then I was like, oh, it's Cal Poly, I didn't know about it. But everyone keeps telling me, oh, it was big back then. So I was probably naive, but now when I come back and graduate and when you finish, oh man, everyone talks about it, raves about it. Like it's great. The mentality there is how they teach you to do things learn by doing. That's really the standing point of getting a degree from Cal Poly. And always and be helpful. Always be helpful. To alumni, everything else. So.
For sure. If people want to find you on the internet, Austin, where can they find you?
I mean, Facebook. They can find me on Facebook. I'll add them. If you have any questions or whatever, you can email me, austin.luan@gmail.com. You can even follow me on Instagram. I'm actually, a lot of my friends tell me I'm a pretty big social media guy. I don't know. You guys can be the judge of that.
Sort of. Maybe.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. Username Austin, AUST1N_24. If anyone can figure out why I picked 24, we're on the same page. But just give me a shout out. If you're anyone, alumni, new member, or whatever it may be. I'm always open to helping people out. So just let me know. Or you can talk to you, Greg, and then if you find someone, just let me know too. And then
I will redirect all their.
Yeah, we redirect everything to me.
Everything, absolutely everything.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Anyways, if you have any questions for, I guess, this podcast, for me, for Austin, for any alumni, and for my regular co-host, Alex Wilk, you can email us at apozopodcast@gmail.com. You can find me, Gregg Yasuda, on Twitter at Yasuda. That's at YOY0S0DA. But otherwise,
double zeros. No,
that was a thing that carried over since high school. So
not egregious.
Right. That's something that's been later, and I'm just at a point where I don't want to change it. So that's really where this is at. But keep an eye out for future episodes. I have a feeling the next episode's probably going to be either Jason Robinson, Thomas Chen, Nicholas Salazar, Malin Koo, Matt Shu, Alan Agatep, Craig Tanner, or Kim Yi. So keep an eye out for that. But otherwise, have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, no, thanks for the time, Greg. I really appreciate doing this. Yeah, I'm your #1 avid follower and listener. Yeah. Good night, everyone.